Early on this season for Syracuse men's basketball, it's learned that juggling a tough schedule is no easy task. But in a dog-eat-dog world that is college basketball, the Orange bounced back in a big way today with a 102-85 win over UAlbany, showing the Great Danes that it is in fact a dome-eat-dog world. The Orange improved to 5-0 inside the JMA Wireless Dome, and my analysts Della, Piana, and Shalam have all the analysis in the world to break down this contest. Orange Press Pass starts right now. Welcome into our CitrusTV studio for another episode of Orange Press Pass. Max Gifford alongside Della, Piana, and Shalam. After a 102-85 win for Syracuse over UAlbany. Guys, it was two embarrassing losses last week for Syracuse against Tennessee and Notre Dame. Today, they bounced back in a big way. Andrew, your first thoughts on the Orange's slacking of the Great Danes?
Well, my first thought is it's impressive how good Max Gifford can juggle, so I want to get that off my chest right away. But my real first thought about this game is, hey, this looked like a basketball team out there on the floor today. A 17-point victory against an in-state foe that you take down for a ninth straight time. But really, for me, it was the best all-around shooting game I've seen for Syracuse this season. 63% from the field, 40% from three-point range after you didn't make a single three against Notre Dame. The defense was a little bit leaky at times, Dan, but I think the offense did a good job of making up for it in this game.
Yeah, no doubt. And for me, it was really ball movement. I mean, we really haven't seen this team attack this well in the paint and from beyond the three-point line so far this season. 23 assists. That is a team high for the squad this season. Jaquan Carlos leading the way with 12 of those. And then that opens up opportunities for other people out on the floor. We saw it today. Syracuse, 62 points in the paint. That is a season high, a lot there. And also 40% from beyond the arc. So that on top of it, both two season high marks. Couldn't ask for a better performance tonight.
Yeah.
Dan, who doesn't love ball movement? And Andrew, who doesn't love basketball teams? Two of them played tonight in the Dome, and we're going to take a look at those two teams play in our highlights inside the JMA Wireless Dome today. Standing room only. Just kidding. There was actually under 20K present in the Dome, and, well, you could tell early on why. UAlbany actually got out to an early lead in this contest. Orange not firing on all cylinders to start, but then they go to all reliable Choppa Moore. In fact, he actually got his own rebound here, gets a shot from the elbow to put SU up in the lead early, 10-9. But the Great Danes were not going away. How about Kasper Kwacek? A three-point J, something Syracuse has not had a lot of success. So the Orange finally need to find some firepower from outside. Who do they go to? Kyle Cuff of all people. Dan, he was on fire off the bench today.
Yeah, 10 points for him. That's a season high, 2-3, second most on the team tonight.
And you look at Cuff, you mean a guy that was a perfect 3 for 3 in his first 5 minutes. Like I said, the Great Danes still keeping it close, but the Orange, what they really were successful today was finding points inside. A nice dish by Lampkin to Bell to put Syracuse up by 13 points at the half. That's the most first half points in the first 20 minutes for Syracuse this season. And here's Lampkin also getting in, the big man. A nice little J inside. Jaquan Carlos doing plenty of dishing as well. Here's DeMar Langford pushing up against what looked like triple coverage for Syracuse to keep this one maybe in reach for the Great Danes. But when Donnie Freeman was on the floor, Andrew, making three-pointers like this, I mean, there was no hope for UAlbany down the stretch.
He is a special young player. SU's highest-rated freshman since Carmelo Anthony. He's showing why with 24 points tonight.
SU finally got up to a 20-point lead for the first time this season in this contest, and it ends off icing on the cake, a Chris Bell dunk, 102-85 the final. Guys, talk a little bit about Donnie Freeman and that career high. Jair Davis, his second straight double-digit game. A guy that's not in here, I do want to talk a little more about Jaquan Carlos and the fact that he just was so multifaceted tonight. The first double-double in points and assists since Judah mentioned that Miami game in January.
Yeah, Dan did a good job of hitting it off the top. Those 12 assists after, again, kind of lackluster performances against Notre Dame and Tennessee, where he was kind of flushed out of the offense again, because he is really the only ball handler right now without J.J. Sterling in the lineup. So he is someone they really have to turn to in the playmaking side. And of course, Donnie Freeman playing as well as he has all season long in these first couple of games. Someone as young as he is and really finding his footing is a great sight to see.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jaquan Carlos. He hadn't hit double figures in any category this season. Coming into this game, 12 points, 12 assists, and then Donnie Freeman. This guy was a 5-star for a reason, proving it right now for Syracuse. Third 20-piece this season.
And one of the most impressive things about that, Dan, is that Donnie Freeman did it in only 23 minutes on the floor. And hey, we've got Chloe Smarz inside the dome after she was there to watch Syracuse and UAlbany. And that's where I want to start here, Chloe, because Donnie Freeman didn't start this game. So I want to hear what Adrian Autry had to say post game, because after not starting, came out and had a great performance. What was Autry's reasoning behind Donnie's absence in the starting lineup?
Yeah, Max, to put it simply, he was sick. He wasn't feeling well. There's nothing else to it. He was a game time decision coming in today. There was reports that he had personal issues going on, but no, he simply was just not feeling well. And been about an hour before the game tip off, he said to Coach Autry, you know what, I'm good to go. And Red was like, absolutely, you obviously want Donnie Freeman on the court if you're Syracuse. And he put up 24 points coming off the bench, arguably a better game than if maybe he would have started. And what I really loved about Donnie Freeman today, a perfect 4 from 4 from behind the 3-point line, definitely helped anchor this SU team in terms of being more confident shooting and taking the three. Donnie Freeman, 20-plus points for a 4th straight game. The freshman phenom really proving as to why he has had all this hype up until this point in the season. But no fret here. Donnie Freeman will be here this Saturday against Georgetown. He had a great game today, and he's all good for Syracuse, Max.
Well, that's good news to hear, Chloe. And we want to talk about guys off the bench. We can't forget about Kyle Cuff, 10 points in his first 6 minutes of action. He didn't start in the second half. What did you kind of see from his play tonight, and kind of what was behind Audrey's reasoning of him not starting in that final 20 minutes of action?
Well, what I might just say to this is that who would have thought Kyle Cuff at one point in this game, going into halftime, was their leading scorer with 10 points? I definitely would not have thought that coming into this game. But Kyle Cuff coming in and getting 2 for 2 from behind the 3-point line, 10 points in the game, it points to a bigger issue with the Syracuse team and what Kyle Cuff brought. He brought firepower and he brought production, and that's why Adrian Autry put him in the first half. Adrian Autry is saying that his team sometimes struggles to find confidence in even taking the three. And Chris Bell talked about it post-game, saying that he still has doubts in his shots, and you see it from other players on this team. So Kyle Cuff coming in, being that confident leader, making and pushing the ball to even take the shot, that was the biggest thing that Kyle Cuff brought in. As to why he didn't play in the second half, there's no true answer to this, but what I can believe is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Syracuse was getting on a roll to start off that second half. Someone like Donnie Freeman was shooting the ball well. Chris Bell started to get more into rhythm. There was just no need for Kyle Cuff to be on the floor. Now, it doesn't mean that head coach Adrian Autry was not proud of Kyle. He said it in the presser post-game that Kyle Cuff had a really great day. And maybe this will be great momentum from him going forward to get more involved in this offense and to allow this team overall to use the three more.
SU had a team high 23 assists on the day today. Just what made the squad so effective with moving the ball?
I just think, Dan, that they were very confident, right? When you go on a 10-0 lead and you're up by 20 at some points in this game, you can't help but get everyone involved. It's a big reason why 5 players on this team finished in the double-digit figures. And I point at someone like Elijah Moore. He started this game because head coach Adrian Autry wanted someone with more defensive firepower. And Elijah Moore, still a freshman. We've only played 9 games this season, but he's getting more comfortable in this role. He is a stud, and he has a lot of athleticism. And we saw it today, especially in some passes to Donnie Freeman that looked pretty good. And then someone like Jaquan Carlos, a double-double for the first time in his time at Syracuse, 12 points, 12 assists. When you get more comfortable, when you have a lead, it all starts to work well. But head coach Adrian Autry is still want to preface that the defensive struggles on this team are still happening, and they're still yet to play their best basketball, but you can't help but be applaud and proud of this team for being able to push the ball around, get everyone involved. It's what led to what Adrian Autry said is their best offense performance of the years, guys.
Certainly helps when there's so many helpers and facilitators. Chloe Smarz, one of those helpers, answering all of our questions inside the JMA Wireless Dome. Chloe, thanks so much for your time, and really, really nice job today. When we come back here on Orange Press Pass, we're going to break down how this game sort of unfolded. Syracuse didn't get off to a hot start, really kicked it into high gear towards the end. We've got Andrew and Dan to break it all down next on OPP. Make a wish. It's 11-11 here on Orange Press Pass after Syracuse's 102-85 win over UAlbany. I'm Max Gifford, he's Andrew Della, Piana, and Dan Shalam. Guys, let's break down this game just a bit more, because last game for Syracuse against Notre Dame, one of their worst offensive performances of the year. A big reason for that, 0 for 9 from three-point range. Today, Syracuse bounces back in a big way with a season-high 40% from three. Andrew, what do you think made the Orange just so effective from long range?
Is a simple answer just making your threes from a Power 5 conference team? Yes, it kind of is. Like you said, 40% from deep. This is a team that entered shooting 26% from deep this season, after being the 12th worst team shooting-wise from behind the arc in the country. Those 11 teams in front of them, Dan, are not Power 5 conferences. So to think of that, of them not making a three in a game in 24, is kind of unbelievable to think about. But, you know, Donnie Freeman, Kyle Cuff, those guys combining for 6 threes, completely out of the ordinary. Chris Bell didn't make a single three. He did have 18 points in the bright spot, but still, Dan, this is such a two-pointed oriented offense. You look at the paint points tonight, 62 of them for the Qs. So to see that kind of evolve in their game, you really need to start being an all-around team if you want to start being taken seriously in the ACC.
Yeah, and that's my worry, to be honest with you right now, Andrews. You look at the first couple of games for the squad, 18% from three-point against Lemoyne, 25% against Youngstown State, 23% against Texas. You get the memo right now, right?
It's been the biggest difference in every game.
It's been the biggest difference, no doubt about it. My concern is that you only had 2 players make three-pointers tonight. Chris Bell is still missing. Elijah Moore, where is he? This team, if you look up and down the roster, all of their three-point percentages are down from last season, and this might be a stepping stone, but I still don't have that much confidence.
A long way to go. It's a long way to go to that mountain.
Yeah, and I don't know if you listened to that Adrian Autry press conference prior to that or after that Slippery Rock exhibition game when he said this was a really good three-point shooting team.
I don't know if I believe that now.
For freezing cold takes is just taking that and frothing at their mouth more and more every day after seeing Syracuse perform from deep. But something we have talked about that Syracuse did a very good job of today was moving the ball around and facilitating. A season-high 23 assists for the squad, and we mentioned it. This is the first game that Syracuse has scored more than 100 points since Chaminade last year in Maui. It was also the most assists since that Maui contest. Dan, we'll go to you next. I know you had a lot of thoughts on this earlier. We talked a little bit about Jaquan Carlos, but who were some other guys that you thought really moved the ball around well?
You look to a guy like Eddie Lampkin and others on the team. 6 players had assists, and I've been waiting for this to happen. But it was the breakthrough game. And UAlbany, you got to use this as a stepping stone going forward. SU's previous high in assists was 19, and that was against Colgate earlier this season. I'm just kind of wondering where these guys were. Finally show up. Jaquan Carlos leading the way. If he's supposed to be your point guard, he needs this on a consistent basis. At this point in the season, double figures in assists can't be happening this late.
And I think a big facet of that as well is the guys have to make the shots when you pass them the basketball. So I think that also takes a large ability of account to it. But again, the first time since Youngstown State, we've seen this team put up that season high of 19 assists, and then you jump up to 23 today. So when you start to play some of these better teams that are going to be a lot more compact and tight on defense, again, this is a UAlbany team that's allowing 83 points per game in its last 5 contests after sub 65 in the first 4. So spreading the wealth as best you can. I mean, 5 different guys in double figures. It's a good sight to see, but it really doesn't feel like it's great enough for this offense.
Plenty of history we're drawing on in this show so far. I talked about the Shalam game last year. You can go back to some other contests where Syracuse has done pretty well with assisting the ball, also, getting high up in that three-point percentage. But something Syracuse hasn't done, something Syracuse did today that it hasn't done since all the way back in 2016 was get 45 points from its bench.
That's awesome.
Now, granted, 24 of those came from Donnie Freeman.
There you go.
But you talk about Kyle Cuff, another guy who had a big bright spot for this contest. What do you think, Adrian? Do you think Adrian Autry is getting more comfortable, I guess, with some of the rotations in his starting lineup and his bench?
I mean, I would hope so. How many more options does he really have to choose through from Donnie Freeman off the bench? As Max alluded to, those 24 points from Donnie wasn't in the starting lineup, so I don't really count that too much. But kind of like Chloe touched on, seeing Kyle Cuff evolve into one of the better players on the floor tonight was a great sight to see. Him shooting with confidence from behind the arc. You talk about the 10 points in the first 6 minutes, and Petar Majstorovic was a plus 16 off the bench tonight. Yeah, that might not bone well in the stat sheet, but again, if you have impact guys that are impactful off the bench, that's going to win you more basketball games than not. And I think Cuff and Majstorovic really proved that tonight.
Yeah, and here's the thing: Donnie Freeman should simply not be coming off the bench. He should be in the starting lineup.
That is an outlier.
But listen, he's living up to his 5-star potential. He's been putting up those 20-point performances on a game-by-game basis so far this season. And what it comes down to is you need someone to fill the role of J.J. Starling right now. He was averaging 20 points a game, and they're getting this right now from Kyle Cuff and Donnie Freeman, along with Petar Majstorovic.
Well, Dan, I think Donnie Freeman's finally going to start reaping some of those benefits of being a 5-star because he's our Orange Press Pass player of the game. 24 points tonight for the 5-star, but what this screen won't tell you is that 18 of those came in the second half, an absolute fireburst by Freeman in a game where he shot 10 for 13. And remember, Freeman did not start this contest, was out. I guess you could call this the Freeman flu game in a sense. Our reporter Chloe Smarz mentioned it. So with Freeman, I guess, performing like that when he has the flu and when he's sick, I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy. The floor's the limit for this guy with performances like this today. Donnie Freeman, our Orange Press Pass player of the game. But we're not done here on Orange Press Pass. 'Tis the season to be, I don't know the rest of it, because we're going to talk about it on Orange Press Pass, and we're going to have a great time with Dan and Andrew, putting a little festive spin on the show when we return.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good stir. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Got a quarter?
I'm an actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
Fa la 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 la. Welcome back into Orange Press Pass. Max Gifford, Andrew Della, Piana, and Dan Shalam. Santa Claus coming to town in just about 25 days, but we're in town for right now. So
It's snowy in the background here.
apologies to all the viewers.
Yeah.
It is snowy in the background, and I guess we're going to take on our own form of Kris Kringle. Or I guess I'll be Kris Kringle. You guys will be the elves, because it's going to be our job.
I mean, we are shorter than you. No, yeah.
Exactly. You guys are the elves in this situation.
Yeah, so it kind of pays. Yeah, it works.
But it's going to be our job to make the list, check it twice. We're playing a game of naughty or nice here on Orange Press Pass. I'm going to give you a set of SU players, and your job is simple. Tell me whether they're naughty or whether they're nice, or whether they're making one of those two lists. You can also be on the edge. There's no right or wrong answers here. We're going to start with Jaquan Carlos, a guy that has come in with the expectation being a true point guard for Syracuse, something the Orange haven't had in a long time. Andrew, we'll start with you. Naughty list or nice list for Jaquan?
Well, for Jaquan, I'm going to put him on my nice list. He's like a woodpecker in a petrified forest right now. He's keeping busy. He's looking for opportunities, and he's getting them right now. 12 assists tonight and 12 points. That's his first double-double since February 1st against Stony Brook, back when he was a member of Hofstra. To see him add back this layer of his game where he can move the basketball, all over the floor is great to see. You also limit turnovers for the young man as well. He got a lot of flack, Dan, after that Tennessee game where he played 30 minutes in the first game without J.J. Starling, had just 3 helpers in that one, but the last 2 games for Carlos have been probably the best I've ever seen. I mean, the new burger he'll have to start ordering is at In-N-Out because of this double-double tonight, but other than that, he's been one of the better players that has really developed his game over the last couple of games.
Well, I mean, Andrew, for me, it's got to be the naughty list.
Oh, come on!
Here, let me tell you
why.
Yeah,
you are Scrooge. You're right. Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you why.
You can
this is the first game he's hit double figures in any category. This guy was supposed to come in and simply be the guy for Syracuse as a point guard. You can't tell me that he's not on the naughty list if he hasn't put up double figures in assists till the 9th game of the season.
He's a playmaker.
A playmaker should be giving you assists. That is the entire point of a playmaker. So that's why he's on my naughty list. Simply for me, I think it's a one-off performance. This is a not-so-good UAlbany team. I don't think it's going to continue against Georgetown and Maryland. Maybe it will. I don't know. But for me right now, just simply not doing it.
I think it's funny that you called Dan a Scrooge because he doesn't seem to be seeing the ghost of Jaquan's Christmas future right now.
That was so
good. And he played
really good.
And his ghost of Christmas present played pretty well. The past, maybe not so much.
I like that.
One guy who also may not have had the best ghost of the Christmas past right now is Chris Bell. A guy that has been here for a couple of years now, has cemented himself as one of the best shooters on this squad. Dan, we'll start with you here, and let's see if you continue your Scrooge theme. Naughty or nice for Chris Bell?
He's on the nice list for me, Max. This might come as a surprise.
Nice
but listen, he had 18 points tonight, and Andrew, it's the first time that he's hit double figures without a three-pointer.
I don't know
so
how I
just
feel about
imagine where he could go once he starts hitting those threes. He's 0 for 6 in his last 2 games from the three-point line. But listen, that simply has to break at some point. You see it right there on your screen. The three-pointers are going to come. He led Syracuse in three-point average last season with 42%. And right now, he's still scoring for this team, and he will continue to score once he finds it from beyond the arc.
Yeah, my friend, I'm looking up at our screen right now, and I'm seeing that he hasn't made a three-pointer in this game. Last game. He's supposed to be the 3-and-D guy on the Syracuse team. He's shooting 25% from 3 right now. He gets put on the naughty list.
It's the same argument as Jaquan Carlos.
He gets put on the naughty list for that. The guy is supposed to shoot. That is his
supposed to give assists.
And he did. He had 12 tonight. Chris Bell has one job on this team. That is to shoot the basketball and put that basketball in the net. And he has not been doing that. And that's why he goes on the naughty list for ADP.
I tend to agree with ADP in this case because around Christmas time, people want silver bells, and right now they don't want Chris Bells. As much as I hate to say
He's on fire right now.
All right. So let's go to another new face on this squad, Jair Davis, a guy that's had 2 straight games with double-digit points. Andrew, back to you. Naughty nice for JD.
Oh, nice. Absolutely nice. There is no doubt about this one in my mind at all. Jair Davis, the last 2 games for him have been very impressive. Someone who has really come out of his shoes after a kind of a short stint with with Delaware. That Jaquan Carlos, he's the Hofstra guy. But for Jair Davis and his outings in the last couple of ones, 20 points tonight. Someone who, again, who has to really elevate this offense to new heights, especially without J.J. Starling in the lineup. And the best part about that, Dan, is that 7 for 7 from the field. I am someone who loves efficiency, and to see that on my box score is like all the presents under the tree.
And I'm going to stick with you. He is also on my nice list right now. 7 for 7 on the day. This guy averaged 15 points at Delaware last season. We've been waiting for him to break through, get out of his shell, and I feel like we're seeing that. Right now it's perfect. Right around Christmas time, he's bringing Syracuse some gifts, kept them in the Notre Dame game, gave them a shot, and really showed it out tonight against UAlbany.
Yeah, most people might want a hippopotamus for Christmas, but I think if you're Syracuse basketball, you wanted a Jair Davis for Christmas.
I do.
And he has absolutely delivered
Yeah.
as a great gift for this squad. One last player on our naughty or nice list, Eddie Lampkin, coming from Colorado, has played sparingly over the last couple of games, but has he done enough to be on your nice list, Dan?
For me, it's got to be a yes for Eddie Lampkin. And I know what you are going to say. He's put up single figures in points. He's not assisting, but you know what he is doing?
What?
Rebounding the basketball.
Oh, great. He's
was
6'11".
tied for first
He's
tonight.
6'11".
4 rebounds. This guy, listen, it's another guy who did very well at Colorado. You've been waiting for him to break out. He was Syracuse's biggest recruit in the offseason. You have to give him some time to work. He's still been showing it without the points right now, and I think once he actually gets to where he's supposed to be, he will dominate. He's a paint presence. No matter what you say about his stats, he has been showing it for the Orange. It's hard to argue right now that he cannot be on the nice list now and not be on it going forward.
Paint presence. He had 6 points tonight. He's averaging less than 4 points per game in his last 5 contests. He's like me when my mom's putting up the ornaments on the Christmas tree. I'm just kind of standing there not doing anything. That's what Eddie Lampkin is doing right now in the Syracuse offense. He's just hanging out at the top of the key, wanting to be a playmaker. You're 6'11". You're the big boy Bronner from Colorado. Go into the paint, score the basketball. You're on the naughty list for me as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a mean one, Mr. Della.
I can't help
You're the Grinch.
You are the Grinch.
I am the Grinch.
You are the Grinch.
I got
Dan's
small
the
heart.
Scrooge. I
How
don't
does
know.
that make you?
I'm not sure. Remember, I'm Chris Kringle.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Here on Orange Press Pass. For no longer here because we're running out of time for the final Orange Press Pass of the semester. When we come back, we'll give you a little look at we'll look a little around the NCAA. We'll also give you our final words when OPP returns.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why?
I'm high.
Oh.
Closing up shop here on Orange Press Pass. Max Gifford, Andrew Della, Piana, and Dan Shalam with you. Guys, after a 102-85 win for Syracuse over UAlbany, a much-needed win. Orange still undefeated at home, but still 0-4 on the road. But your final thought to put, I guess we're still in the Christmas, and I guess I'm wearing a bow tie, to put a little bow on this show.
Yeah. See, I got him there. I beat him to the punch, yeah.
Ah, goodness. All right, Andrew, you start us.
All right, let's dive into these final thoughts. It's Donnie Freeman is the best player on this team, and he is simply that guy right now for Syracuse. You got to let him keep doing his thing around this Christmas time. 24 points, 10 of 13 shooting, 4 of 4 from three-point land. Did you know this guy was a three-point shooter at high school?
No, he shot 15% coming into this game.
No, so 4 of 4, that's perfect 100%. That'll up the average a little bit. So with Donnie Freeman, he is someone that wasn't feeling great in this game, as Chloe talked to us a little bit earlier. So to see him come off the bench in kind of maybe a different role than we expected was a great sight to see. Whatever he's got, maybe he's got to keep it a little bit to have this, as Max alluded to, a flu game earlier on. But JJ, he's out. Donnie, this is your team right now.
While Donnie Freeman might be great, I'm going to go into my hater arc here and
What?
say that
Scrooge,
I do not have
Scrooge.
belief in this team. You call me the Scrooge, I'm going to be the Grinch right here.
Yeah,
for
join the club.
Syracuse
Yeah.
basketball. Now listen, you should have, if you're Syracuse, you should have beaten the brakes off of UAlbany.
Yeah,
I don't
of
think
course.
17 points is enough. Sure,
All right,
you made your best 3-point percentage, but it was only 6 threes, and it did not even come
more
from
than
Chris
zero.
Bell or
It's more than
Elijah
zero.
Moore. Those guys are simply not going to be that involved going forward. And on top of it, Jaquan Carlos is not going to have
Oh,
a
come
12-assist
on.
game going forward. This is a fluke performance.
You hate
I am still
Jaquan
very
Carlos.
worried about Syracuse.
I'm not even willing to call you the Scrooge or the Grinch. I'm just going to call you Debbie Downer Dan because that's
That's
all
a great
you've
nickname.
been this
That's
show.
fantastic.
The good news is we've had one person who has been a consistent rock for this show throughout the entire year, the last 2 years for that fact, and that has been our executive producer, Rihanna Avil. We just cannot thank her enough for all the great work. I mean, look at these amazing memories throughout her time here as an associate producer and an executive producer, in addition to the work of Josh Richardson, Chris Scheuer, and Brooke Kilgore. They've done an incredible job with this show this semester, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. It's all the time we have on this episode of Orange Press Pass. So for Dan Shalam, Della, Piana, I'm Max Gifford saying happy holidays, everyone, and thank you for watching.